The memory puzzle. Chapter 1. Messages have been sent out to you millions of years ago, and the packages in which it was wrapped started dying. The things you see around now are very old, and in that the message can still be found. The lights around you, also what they call daylight, are very old, and probably not even living anymore, for a great part, even that what they call humanity. This all arose because of filters in the brains. The brains have ordered everything in numbers, and these numbers do not change. It is a frozen situation. The brains have copied things, multiplied them, or just rudely cut them apart. This is why the numbers in our imagination have to change all the time, or we will miss the message. The wheel of number change is a filter in the communication center by which the message can come through clearly. You have to discipline yourself in changing the numbers all the time. For example, if you see a curtain, make 2 curtains of them, then 3. Or when you see 3 humans walking, imagine that it is just 1 person walking. By this, you will break the orthodox number code of the brains. You will have to train yourself in that, and apply it to everything. Learn to switch the numbers, until you really feel the wheel of number changes spinning, and then you can also do it with time. If you have a problem bothering you, then it is important to go to the roots of it. Picture the problem, and say transcend, which brings you to a deeper consciousness, and a deeper level of the problem. Then see what sort of pictures are coming in. The brains want to make you get stuck all the time, but the programs of imagination want to set you free. You have to try to watch the world in layers of dimension. We call this process pain traveling, which is a journey to the root of the problem, which gives another point of view and a way to treat it better. Everything around you is light, from many ages ago, which has become chaotic in its journey by all the filters, even disturbed and corrupted. It will keep spinning around you in this way until you have discovered and decoded the message. For this, you need a good filter process, and you cannot allow yourself to cheat in it. The lights around you are judging you because you do not want to fit in their boxes. To filter these lights you need the filter of number change, and the filter of time change. These 2 filters are important motors in pain traveling, as in that pain becomes a map, as in a multi-dimensional thing. It is becoming buildings in which you can progress. If you have exercised these filters, developed them, they should eventually lead to multi-numbers, and multi-time, in which nothing is bound to numbers, or time anymore. It is important to go beyond the numbers, and that you see all the dimensions of the numbers at once, as a survey. That what you see around you are dying lights. The only thing important is the message they brought to you. And when you have discovered this message, then the lights will fade away soon enough to reveal the higher worlds. The lights around you are just curtains. They do not have the strength to change you or help you. They just hang there, and you have to enter through them. It is a fact that the roles of the things around us are not their original roles, and that is why we misinterpret the messages. And that is why the role divisions have to change all the time in order to bring these original roles up, and they were much more flexible. The role division change lays at the base of the hierarchy change. If the filter of role division change does not spin, then everything gets stuck, and then it will create density in its worst forms. It causes drought. The role division change filter is an important element in the process of imagination to keep everything smeared and hydrated. It is the oil of miracles. It is the megamixer of imagination. This is the drive for spaceships and other higher energy forms. It is also the reason why flowers bloom. Role division change opens up the deepest potentials of things, and is the force of actual change. People on Earth are more or less frozen in their roles. The lights around them do not help them, but box them further, locking them up in mental and emotional prisons, all for business. There is not a search to solve problems, but there is a search to gain money, as money is control. This is how the whole medical world is organized, and also the world of justice. They are markets, farms, to create money, in order to create control. They will never really heal you, or do justice to you, as then they lose a money well. They use the cows for milk, so you are nothing but cattle for production. They want to steal your essence. This is why we need to use the tools of role division change, and you can ask yourself the question, who is really sick, and who is really the doctor? The doctors are sick nowadays. You are your own doctor, and this all by the tools of imagination and you are your own doctor, and this all by the tools of imagination and change. It is a war against the farms, the ones who make you believe that they have to create you, for the sake of business, instead of showing you how to channel the higher worlds, and how to come to a higher level of imagination consciousness. It is a war against farmers posing as doctors, politicians and judges, but this war is actually a filter in your imagination. Your imagination can plug into a higher frequency of reality in order to sift things out and bring it back to its original message. As said, we have to deal with curtains we have to go through. They are shadows which will disappear when we let the sun of imagination move around. The sun of change is a huger reality than the things set around us. Everything will change in the sense that nothing will be what it was before. The sun of change is moving closer in the process of imagination evolution. It is going to swallow everything up and change the roles. It will have its own warmth and its own light. This is our imagination. We will all get wired up by it. No one will escape from the wheels of change. There will come a higher, virtual reality of change, where the sun of imagination will reveal itself and absorb everything in a process of transcendency to mix everything, from which a new order will rise. The order of imagination declares war to farmers, posing as higher devices to control us mentally. There will be a war for the sun of imagination to come through. The arsenal of imagination will be opened in this solar zone of time and earth, as this level of consciousness will come in contact with the sun of imagination. It is a time of connection, an age on which the sun comes down on us. There will be solar imagination and solar imagination consciousness, and we will enter the solar imagination stairways to progress from level to level. We will not fall back anymore since this age has been opened, the solar imagination age. It is the age of imaginatology. There is much talk about the so-called Illuminati and alien race, which materialized on Earth to possess the high positions in order to rule and divide. But do not focus on Illuminati, but on Imaginati, which is much stronger. Same counts for the talk about the Freemasonry being a threat of aliens. Whether it is true or not, focus on imaginatory. Actually, no things are one-sided, as there are always hidden messages, and there are always hidden benefits. Imaginology is about reinterpreting the message, pricking through it. Everything can be a tool by which the higher worlds speak. That is why these things are still around us, so obviously they have relevance. Too much polarization, the creation of arena, the battle between the opposites, is not going to help us. We need to transcend, going beyond the battle between good and evil. We are in a labyrinth, not to become over-judgmental and self-righteous, as that is a pharisaistic trap. We have to revalue things, searching for the benefit of it, the hidden code. The fight can make us so bitter that we come into the "oh poor me" level. But it will not help us out, and actually it is not even true. We keep sticking to that role, rather than trying to understand the science of role division change. Yes, I know, some things seem mean and cruel, and it is making us insane, but there is life beyond the pain. There is even life beyond death. Pain is annoying, I know, but we can try to understand it in a bigger picture, even when the pain is getting worse and worse. It is a challenge for you to explore the world of imagination. There are hidden sources of healing waiting for you, and they are related to a deeper understanding. I know that when things take long, people can become tired of life, or some even become suicidal. They long for transformation. But I have good news for you. There is transformation in imagination. For this, you will have to go to the imagination school to learn the science of imagination. The trick of imagination is to learn to work with the wheels of imagination. It is a tall pole when you would bring all these wheels together, and they had a long download period, but they are available now. The imagination computer is one of the sweetest things existing. It can lighten your brains, it can lighten your air tube, and make you bloom by its lights. It can store information, as in an imagination memory. You just have to learn about its devices. It is very neurobiological, and it has the sun of imagination as its energy source. It can show you many touch screens as well. It is all about reframing your life, reinventorizing it. This time by the forces of solar imagination and role division change. The tools of healing are the tools of imagination. You can make the concentration of these tools as high as you wish. Some might say, but how can you really change things in the world by imagination? First of all, stop focusing on the world on the S. First of all, stop focusing on the world on the surface, but go to the inner world, the deeper world, the world beyond it all. This also means you have to stop focusing too much on outer space, but rather focusing on outer consciousness, where the higher realities are, the higher civilizations. The walls we find on Earth, the blocks in the world, are nothing but the higher civilizations, in higher levels of awareness, and we misinterpreted them. They are not what we think they are. We have to change the numbers, change the time, and just change the whole context, value and meaning of it, all the time, until we can plug into the higher message it bears. That is basically the only way to solve a block. A block is a portal, and I say it again, a block is a portal. Give the opposite meaning to everything you see around you. In this, your imagination will find a way through, and your life will come into another vibration, another wave, and you will see things as what they really are. When the filter of role division change is working, then the filter of hierarchy change will start working, and also the filter of definition change. Then the universal laws will change, and you will find a way through, as sure as water is wet. It is case that you have to see the depths of imagination. The multi-dimensional world of imagination, with its high levels of consciousness, is much stronger than the three-dimensional world of lower consciousness. All these densities will be absorbed when there will be contact between these two worlds, when the sun of imagination shines through, and that is happening in this age we are entering now. Low consciousness with its stubborn density will be exposed by the higher light, and everything will fall in place. There is no escape anymore from the dawn of imagination. Now filtering your imagination is very important. You can do that by saying filters. When you feel the filters get blocked, then you say change filters. The filter of filter change is a very important filter in this. This is actually the source of all movement in imagination. When you still feel your filtering gets blocked, and you get stuck somewhere, repeat the command, or use the command, change transcend, as there are several natural ways to transcend things, and they are available. When your imaginations are filtered, you can project them by using the imagination light. When you reach higher levels of imagination, at one point, you come in the realm of the voices of imagination. Then your head will be divided in 4 parts horizontally laid on each other, and each part gets its own tone. In higher levels, the keys of imagination will be shown, the key imaginations or territorial keys, which makes you able to change larger areas, and to become aware of them. It is important when there is trauma to transform these traumas to give them another meaning. For example, when there was a divorce, or a breakup between partners or friends, and you do not understand why, then it is best to picture it as a fire accident by which you lost this friend, as otherwise your brains will keep pondering about it until it makes you sick. Trauma change is an important filter, and it is also important to sum up the main villains in your life, whether it is in the past or present, those who ruined you, hurt you, or formed a threat against you. Sum them up, list them, and transform them in your imagination. Change it into a cartoon, make a card game of it, a computer game, and give everything a different meaning and value. Imagination is a higher force than love when it is progressive. And it can prevent you from many pitfalls in love. It is important to know how to come in higher levels of imagination. It is important to travel to the core of imagination. Chapter 2. You can see the subconsciousness as a sort of planet, a prison where you have to escape from, as it keeps you in sleep mode. The ultra-consciousness, or super-consciousness, with the levels of awareness, is the planet you have to go to. You can imagine floating above the planet of subconsciousness, and you can make this planet smaller and smaller while you are floating away from it, as by a storm. Then at one point, it is only a dot, and then it fades away and loses its grip. At that point you can connect to the planet of ultra-consciousness, taking you in. It is important to translate, and then also to translate the translation, until you come into the zone of ultra-translation, working together with decoding and transcending. As there will still be forms of bondage, which will beg for translation. You cannot just escape them. They represent the higher realities. They represent the ultimate combinations. You cannot just repress these. Consciousness is not vague, not talking in generalities all the time. Like some New Age consciousness promoters tell us just to ignore evil. But we shouldn't. We have to translate evil. We have to absorb these veils, not by vagueness, but by. We have to absorb these veils, not by vagueness, but by checking them out. We shouldn't become New Age light zombies, who don't touch anything evil of the world anymore, as such people will be lulled to sleep. They speak in generalities all the time, with lofty messages, very pompous, and they made a business of the divine. We should care and love exposing the truth, and then translating it. The subconsciousness has messed it all up, and we are here to put it straight, so yes, we will mention it. Nothing negative about it. It will be a fight, and there will be exorcism, like in a computer game you have to shoot the monsters, and then the good energies, the 8 will be released, so it is all part of the transformation, and it all goes through different seasons. But you cannot blame people who are in a different season. There is no negativity in exposing negativity. It is only negativity if we would not translate it further. Then we would be orthodox drama seekers. We are called to mention man and horse, and then translate it. The stairway of consciousness leads to the alter consciousness, to ultra consciousness, or extra consciousness. So what are the parts of ultra consciousness? There is foreground consciousness, and there is background consciousness, rather than subconsciousness. There are ultraliminals to program your consciousness, rather than subliminals. Consciousness exists in many layers, and it is important to know these layers. This all in order to activate them, and raise them to the highest vibration. There is the consciousness, where everything goes backwards, in the background. There is the consciousness, where everything goes forwards, in the foreground. There is the consciousness, where everything moves downwards as a waterfall, and there is the consciousness, where everything moves upwards as a fountain. There is also the consciousness, where everything moves in waves. In this everything gets mixed, and translated. There is the consciousness, where everything spins around. There is the consciousness, where everything is turned upside down. There is the consciousness, where everything is two-dimensional, written on cards, stored in books, as in a library. Things can move from the foreground of your consciousness to the background, and they can move back. Like opening and closing a book. Like picking a card, and then putting it back in its card deck again. There is the consciousness, where everything is one-dimensional, as sand, as dots, or as water, and there is the consciousness, where everything is zero-dimensional, as air or nothingness, as black holes, storms or winds. It is here where the magic is stored. We have to spend time in all these consciousnesses, until we have developed our senses there. Then it becomes a part of our life, and then we lost a great deal of subconsciousness. So here is the magic. Divide your consciousness in background consciousness and foreground consciousness into background imagination and foreground imagination. Ultra consciousness. Background imagination, foreground imagination. Backwards. Forwards. Imagination. Downwards. Upwards. Waves. Spinning. Upside down. Imagination. 2D imagination, books, cards. 1D imagination, sand, water. 0D imagination, air, energy. Exposing. Imagination. Translating. Imagination. Others are the reflections of the self, either good or bad. They are messages. In the center of consciousness is the wizard consciousness. It is multi-flexible and multi-translative imagination, guarding the stairways of eternal life and true life, which holds the fountain of eternal youth and the records of it. The subconsciousness is a kitchen where people are prepared as food and then eaten. This means they get disarmed to serve as slaves. However, when we translate this in the higher consciousness, it is a transformation system to lay the combinations of the wizard consciousness. So the slaves of the witch come free in order to serve their true higher selves in the ultra consciousness in all its complicated constructions. Because the mind was young, it couldn't come up with a better way to describe the eternal combinations of imagination. It all looked like horror and cruelty because the translator was too young to translate it into what it really was. It was all the very beginning of the evolution of consciousness. But all things are true and reflect the eternal principles. All things are meant to be. They are necessary steps in the evolution plan. You can see your memory as a puzzle and start doing the puzzle, and also make use of the puzzle change, as the memory is many puzzles in one. Your memory is a labyrinth, and you just have to remember always that there is a way out.